You're listening to an archived Cabral Concept podcast. After listening to this show, check out the most up-to-date podcasts available at stephencabral.com/podcasts or search directly on iTunes. And now, welcome to the Cabral Concept, where board-certified naturopath and integrative health practitioner Dr. Stephen Cabral shares how he was diagnosed at the age of 17 with a life-altering illness and given no hope for recovery. It was only after studying and traveling all over the world did he discover how to combine ancient Ayurvedic healing practices with state-of-the-art naturopathic and functional medicine to fully rebalance the body and re-energize it with life. It's time to discover how to get well, lose weight, and finally feel alive again. And now, here's your host, Dr. Stephen Cabral.
Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the Cabral Concept. Good to have you back here today on our weekend house calls, where we're going to be going through more of our community's questions each and every weekend for about 3 years now. We've been answering, I would say, close to 3,000 questions total. And each and every weekend, what I do is I look at all of the questions that have come in, and we answer them in the order they were received. So today's questions will be picking up in late November of last year. So we're usually somewhere around 10 to 12 weeks in the queue. So if you've asked, your questions typically answered within that period of time. Hopefully you're tuning in each and every weekend. And it's a great service that I truly love to provide. And I feel like it allows me to speak with and reach a lot of people all over the world, whether or not I ever get to speak with them in person, whether I get to see them at an event or whatever it might be. You know, maybe I read one of their labs that they've sent in as well. So it's a really nice place that I think for us to kind of gather on the weekend, listen through what other people are going through, because the truth is that a lot of people out there think they're all alone, that they're the only one suffering with this particular condition. And as you'll see on these weekend house calls, the truth is that there's a lot of people out there and they are suffering in silence, except maybe reading this, on our podcast on the weekend. So I wanted you to be able to empathize with it, that there's other people out there right now and they're on hard times as well. But at the same time, they're working the process and they're going to find their answers just like you will as well. So there's a lot of positives to be taken from this. And the other truth I would say is that there's almost never a question from anyone that we haven't seen before, meaning like we've seen so many people in our practice, there's really nothing that surprises us. And the truth is that nothing can surprise us. And the real reason is that there is no disease. And the quicker that you really begin to understand that, the better, because the truth of the matter is what your disease is a grouping of symptoms that we decide, or someone decides in conventional medicine to give a name so that you can feel better, meaning like, oh, you have XYZ, right? You have the name of the thing. And then the next thing is what? Well, the next thing is not, hey, here's how you got it and here's how you can get rid of it. Hey, here's the medication that you can be using, and we want to make sure we keep an eye on these particular lab numbers. So that's not the way out. That's not the type of life that I want for anyone. And that's why on the house calls, what we're going to do is really pare down to what some of those underlying root causes are, how to get started with particular protocols, what else you may be missing in terms of your search, and then also lab tests that might be perfect for you. So having said all that, let's get into today's show and go with that first question. Okay, first question today is from Taylor. Taylor is writing in. Hello, I found Dr. Rawl by listening to his podcast. I'm 7 months pregnant and want to be very intentional about getting my body as healthy as possible for the baby while it continues to grow and while I'm breastfeeding. I just don't know where to start, and also what is safe to do while pregnant. Can I just do the Dr. Rawl 7-day detox while pregnant? Is that where I should start, or should I try to focus on healthy eating as much as possible? Or is there a certain lab I should run while pregnant that will benefit me and my baby most? Thank you for your time. All right, this question comes up so many times with pregnancy. I dedicated a whole podcast to it. It is called How to Have a Happy and Healthy Pregnancy. So check that out. Just go to stephencabral.com/podcast. And just remember, since these questions won't be answered for approximately 10 to 12 weeks, that you can use that search box at stephencabral.com/podcast. And even if you just type in pregnancy or pregnant, you're going to get a lot of podcasts that's going to help with that. I did that. I did a podcast with Melissa Ambrosini on like 2 hours or 3 hours almost on how to have a happy, healthy pregnancy. Just keep in mind, though, that besides your typical and basic vitamins and minerals, almost all herbs, all detoxes, all cleanses, everything like that is contraindicated while pregnant. So I've answered that many, many times. And of course, I'm sure, Taylor, that you've gotten that answer since then. You wrote in on November 13th. So you're always welcome to ask inside of cabralsupportgroup.com. But just keep in mind, on the bottle of every nutritional supplement label, it says, under like contraindications, it says, just like picking up a bottle here in my office, and it typically says, not for use with children, not for use with people, special populations, pregnancy, etc. Just keep that in mind. That is something that I want you to be aware of, okay? So that's it. You'll go back, you'll check out that podcast. It will tell you everything that you need to do about in-depth, like over a half hour on that podcast on how to have a happy and healthy pregnancy, and that will take care of you. All right, Katie's up next. Last year, I got horrible traveler's diarrhea and stomach pain while traveling in Peru. Even after the initial symptoms subsided, I still suffered with acid reflux for up to a year later. I felt like I was back to normal when I went to Bali, and again got traveler's diarrhea and stomach issues. Should I run a test to make sure I don't have some long-term gut issues from all of this? Absolutely. It sounds like you have H. pylori. Very, very common. And the other thing that you may have is parasites. The good news is one test will tell you all of that. So you'll just eat a normal diet, and you will take a stool test, okay? Just go to equilibriumnutrition.com, Katie. And you want to do the 3-day stool test. So there's only one option on there. You can obviously do this with your local practitioner, but a lot of times they only run a 1 day. 1 day is not good enough. You want a 3-day that looks at microscopy, that it does an actual stool culture, that it's running it through a machine for looking at specific antigens, and that you're looking for occult blood as well. So again, we run an amazing test. It's not ours. We just try to get it to people because you need a doctor to sign off on all of these labs. So I sign off on it for you, and you can take these in... At least, we're trying to get this in Australia. Australia just has some tough import laws. We want to get you all of these things, trust me, but you need all these harmonization codes, and there's these tariff fees, and then there's like, is this considered a pharmaceutical, or is it just a supplement? So we're working, and no doubt we're going to be the premier functional medicine company that ships to Australia for sure, but it just takes a little time. That's the test, Katie, hands down. There's no other question around it. You will make sure that you don't have H. pylori, which can deal with the symptoms you had, such as acid reflux, and the traveler's diarrhea almost always means you got a bacterial overgrowth or you got parasites as well. So check that out. All right. And again, if you have any of those, no big deal. We'll help you fix those as well. Dinos, D-I-N-O-S, is up next. Or it could be Dinos. Hello, Dr. Ball. I'm a 35-year-old. I've had a polyp in my gallbladder and had surgery removed to have the gallbladder removed. I know I made a huge mistake. I'm 3 months post-op from the first month. I have symptoms that I've never had before. I developed chronic inactive gastritis in 1 month after the surgery. I had a mild, simple gastritis, no H. pylori found. I have heartburn after I eat, pain sometimes on the right side, loss of appetite. But 1 week, appetite somehow came back. I don't vomit. I don't have diarrhea, but when I eat food, my stools are yellowish brown. I can already tell you what this is. Okay. So the reason they're yellowish brown and the reason you're having these issues is your body is now having a difficult time not producing enough bile on its own, okay? Don't get me wrong, it's dropped by the liver, so like I'm not saying that can't happen, but the gallbladder is a nice place to store bile, and so that can be then, when you have enough stomach acid, it can actually pump, that pump, right, for the gallbladder, and it can actually help to release more, and it can also reuptake it as well, because that's what's supposed to happen. But as anybody tells me they have whitish or yellowish stool, then I know that there's most likely not enough bile. So what I would like to do, just temporarily, and I shouldn't say temporarily, a lot of people need this for life if they don't have a gallbladder. And you can take one ox bile product upon waking, and you can take one before bed. A lot of people say to take it with a meal. I disagree with that. And the reason I disagree with it is that bile is quite alkaline, and you want your stomach quite acid when you eat. That's the goal of the stomach, is to actually be acid so it breaks down your food. A low pH, somewhere around a 3 pH, is what we're looking for. The lower the better, technically, as long as our stomach acid mucosa can take it. We're going to start with the ox bile, and we're definitely going to use digestive enzymes. So the daily digestive enzyme, we offer that at equilibriumnutrition.com. We don't offer the ox bile, but if you email our team or you post it, I'm sure that we can get you a link for that as well. Now, real simple, real straightforward. That's what we recommend. And then at some point, we're going to need to free up that bile in the liver. This is totally up to you. I can't make any medical recommendations. I can't treat, cure, diagnose disease. That's not within my scope of practice. I'm giving health education advice. what I recommend is going back to a podcast I did on the amazing liver and gallbladder cleanse. And I know that you don't have a gallbladder. I understand that. But what you're doing is trying to soften that bile. You can do it with malate or malic acid. You can do it with apples. You can do it with parsley. You can do it with a lot of different things. But there's a specific liver cleanse for this that will help to soften up that bile and hopefully help you out for life. That was from Dinos. Renee is up next. Renee writes in, "Hi there. I'm suffering from severe and constant abdominal distension. I have what I have been told is contact dermatitis on my right hand and atopic eczema on my arms. My moods tend to fluctuate, and I'm easily agitated and anxious. I suffer from bulimia during my teenage years, so I believe this may be something to do with it. Could you please advise what my first step would be to getting my health back?" Yeah, absolutely. And so these are absolutely all related. Like, hands down, when you have skin rashes, always, 100% of the time, go to the gut. Is there intestinal permeability? Because yes, it can be an immune reaction, but why would the immune system be so heightened? Usually intestinal permeability. I'm going to give you the labs I recommend in order, right? So if you can't run them all, then you'll run them in this order. Organic acids test, stool test, food sensitivity test. Those are our 3 gut-based tests. Recommend those. After that would be the thyroid adrenal hormone. After that would be the hair tissue mineral analysis. And after that would be the omega-3 test, right? That's our big 5 plus the stool. And the contact dermatitis, it's most likely a form of eczema as well. Contact dermatitis, for those of you who don't know, is you coming in contact with something. Let's say that it's a moisturizer or it's a type of dish soap or whatever, and it's causing you to get a rash. But if something that you've been using for a long time or you try to use natural products, it's most likely just a form of eczema as well. Regardless, you have abdominal distension, you have anxiety, you have previous history of bulimia, which could cause some intestinal permeability as well. So, and the stress, that's exactly what I'm recommending. We'll be able to figure out what you have, help you really remove if there's any bacterial overgrowth of candida or your bacterial overgrowth. And then what we'll do is we'll seal up the gut. We'll begin to calm the body and mind. That includes obviously the anxiety, and really put the body back together. That is what we do every single day. So that's as easy. Again, you don't have to become a private client for that. You can simply order any of those labs that work for you. The more data, the better, but simply go within your budget over at Equilibrium Nutrition. Okay? Denver is up next. "Hello, Dr. Cabral. I'm following you on social media, and I've listened to your podcast for some time now. When I was 18, I got a glandular fever, shingles, and acute tonsillitis. Had my tonsils removed twice. Over this time, I was on a lot of antibiotics. Mostly being diagnosed with PCOS. I put on 30 kilos in the last few years. That's about 70 pounds for we in the United States. Mostly around my stomach. I really want to lose the weight, but I just can't no matter what I do. I'm also constantly tired and suffer with acne and brain fog. I'm a student studying naturopathy in Australia. I've been saving up for some time to purchase some of your products because I believe they really are my best bet. Do you have any suggestions on what I should purchase? I can't buy much to start with to keep saving and purchasing. Should I keep saving and purchase the monthly concierge to have questions answered?" Okay, Denver, no, I would love you to put your money not with necessarily, again, it's the highest level of service working with my health coaching team and myself, but for those just, again, a little bit more on a budget, nothing wrong with that at all. I mean, that's obviously just a fact of life. It is what it is, and that's to be respected. You can start with labs. So, if you're someone dealing with PCOS and you've been on a lot of antibiotics, first things first is the organic acids test, the stool test, and the thyroid adrenal hormone. Those are first. And then after that, it would be the hair tissue mineral analysis. And then after that, if you wanted to, you would do the food and omega-3 test. But honestly, the first one's the most important. I named those first 3, organic acid, stool, and the thyroid adrenal hormone. That will give me the most amount of data. Let's say you can't afford those. You want to begin with a protocol. Well, begin with a protocol. You'll at least start with sealing up that gut wall. And so we'll start with the candida and bacterial overgrowth protocol. We'll use the additional citricidal drops, assuming that you have SIBO or some type of bacterial overgrowth in the gut. And then we'll seal up the gut wall after the 12 weeks. And then we'll obviously want to do some work using something like full spectrum magnesium and other products as well, such as our foundational based protocol without the probiotics, because you'll be on the CBO protocol. Again, even if you can only run one lab, you'll get a specific protocol for you. So that's why, obviously, I'm an advocate of lab testing, because you just get those specifics for you. Hopefully, that's a great place to start. Keep up the great work. And also, I mean, if you're studying naturopathy, the integrative health practitioner certification is something that I run, and we have so many people from Australia doing that in the future, it might be a nice thing for you to add as an adjunct to your naturopathy over there, especially since this is an integrative form, which takes into account even more than naturopathic medicine as well. So just something to look into, because I know it will help you with your health-based issues. And then, of course, you'll be able to help others in turn. Let's read Devin's question. Hi, Dr. Ball. I've been recently diagnosed with severe rosacea, and I'm avoiding taking the antibiotics prescribed to me. I'd prefer to get it under control through lifestyle and diet changes. I've listened to you for a while now, and I'm wondering, should I do the organic acids test and the food sensitivity test from your website? I know I can get this under control, but I need some guidance. Looking forward to hearing from you. Yeah, Devin, absolutely. And you're right on the money with that. That's exactly what I would recommend. And if you can add the stool test to that, even better. But you're exactly 100% on the mark. And this came in November 16th. If you ever have a lab question, you're obviously welcome, like, hey, what's the right lab for me? To ask that inside of cabralsupportgroup.com. That's our free Facebook group. We're not going to do a diagnosis, but we'll point you in the right direction. All right. Sabrina's up next. Hi, just found out my 5-year-old has asthma, and the doctor wanted her on Zyrtec daily, inhaler 2 times a week. Do I fill out the application to talk to a health coach, or has this been addressed in a podcast that I can listen to? I don't really want my 5-year-old to start taking medication daily. What do we do? Please advise. Very worried mom, Sabrina. And then she follows up. I'm a personal trainer, and we eat a high plant-based diet, take multis every day, so I'm concerned with her asthma. She doesn't have difficulty breathing. She had a cough that lingered on, so we took her to the doctor, and this was her diagnosis. Okay, Sabrina, so yeah, absolutely. I don't want your daughter on Zyrtec daily either, and specifically not an inhaler, which is going to, really do a number on the sympathetic nervous system. So what I would love to do is just make sure she's already done an elimination diet first, right? So that's super important to do. And see if a lot of these are food-based sensitivities from an IgG perspective, which means they don't cause immediate issues. They cause issues and inflammation a day, 2, or even 3 days later. So that's going to be first. For whatever reason, sometimes this happens. The organic acids test is the test of the day. And that's what I recommend for your daughter. We'll look at any gut permeability, candida overgrowth. That often goes hand in hand with allergies and asthma. Love to run a hair tissue mineral analysis. So this is called our starter kit. And then I'd like to do things naturally that help with allergies, such as zinc, such as the omega-3s. Keep doing your multi, which is great. And what else would I like to do? Well, I'd like to get a little bit more data is what I would like to do. And let's say that she does have allergies, asthma. I'd like her to get tested for environmental allergies. You can always do our allergy protocol, which helps to knock down the histamine-based symptoms. What else can I give you? And then you can also do the sublingual drops just as a desensitization, but again, only at the same time as you're working on sealing up that gut wall, if that's an issue. So that's a great place to start. Organic acids test, hair tissue mineral analysis, and elimination diet, adding in a little magnesium at night, adding zinc at dinner, adding omega-3s. And that's a good start. Okay. All right, I'm going to do my best to pronounce this name. Quina, it's Q-U-Y-N-H. Quina, could be Quina. Probably not pronouncing that correctly, but I give it my best shot. This person's asking, I'm asking for help on how to start treating my 2.5-year-old son. Currently has eczema that flares up on a normal basis. He was 4 weeks early, but it was at a good weight. Jaundice the first days. 2 weeks, he had first signs of eczema on his cheek. Breastfed him and started to add goat milk formula at about 3 months. During this first year of life, he constantly had eczema, especially close to the mouth. After he turned 2, the flare-ups decreased a lot, but still in various areas of his body. We feed him mostly organic, no dairy products, no eggs, gluten-free carbs. After he turned 1 and was off the goat milk formula, we made him fresh coconut milk to replace the formula. He does go to child care, and while we're at work, completely out of control what he eats in his diet. We do instruct the care to not feed him dairy and eggs, but I know he likes to get his hands on candy and snacks. His diet regularly consists of green juice, bone broth, pastured-raised meats, wild-caught seafood, probiotics, vitamin D, vitamin K, vitamin C, omega-3, cod liver oil daily. We noticed from June to October, he usually gets a few stubborn flare-ups that will last a long time. Steroid creams will maintain it, but it won't take it completely away. Other than the eczema flare-ups, he is a healthy kid. No vaccines. What do you recommend to start with for his condition? My husband sometimes gets eczema spots around his knees. During the winter, he gets them on his arms as well. Could his eczema be passed down from his dad? We're eating clean. Anything suggested would be appreciated. Okay, sure, like there's a genetic component to eczema, but it doesn't mean that you have to have it, right? So all my grandparents had rheumatoid arthritis. Both my parents had rheumatoid arthritis. I got rheumatoid arthritis at 17. It's in the genes, right? But now I don't have rheumatoid arthritis, right? So it can go away. And the reason is that just because it's in the genetics doesn't mean it needs to manifest itself. What we need to figure out is what's causing the eczema, right? Well, obviously we have to go through a process of elimination. You're doing such a great job, by the way. So first of all, I want to commend you. You're doing, way more than even like some of the best health people I know. So you're doing the vitamin D, which I'd absolutely recommend and keep that going. The vitamin C, the omega-3, cod liver oil, you're doing great. I don't know about the probiotics because if he has SIBO, small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, or candida or yeast overgrowth, these would not be helping right now. They'd be hindering the process because there's an overgrowth rather than a lack of. Probiotics work great once you have a balanced gut microbiome, but not if you don't. Pretty straightforward. I want to run only 2 tests. And we just recommended this for Sabrina. Yeah, we did. And it's called the hair tissue mineral analysis, and it's the organic acids test. Here's why. I want to look for heavy metals, namely copper. Copper can cause skin rashes and eczema, but I just think that it's most likely candida or yeast overgrowth, partly because I don't know if it was a vaginal birth or cesarean. Either way, it's okay. We'll work on this. And I want to make sure that there's a proper ratio. Sure, you can run a stool test as well. That's, more in depth, but you're welcome to run that on top of the 2 labs I just recommended. Once we see that, what we do, and this happens with kids all the time, we're going to have them go through, if we find those things, our children's CBO protocol. And then after that, then we'll start to add back in some of the good probiotics. So that's how we work it. And also along with that comes our CBO elimination diet as well to help with that. So hopefully that was helpful. Really great questions. And, keep up the great work. You're doing amazing work. I know how frustrating it is, especially when you have a child that, has a dis-ease of the body, right? An imbalance of the body. You're trying so much and you're still not getting the exact effects that you want. So what we want to do is we want to run a couple labs. Let's figure out what's going on and let's take it from there. Really great questions, everyone. Thank you for writing in. And don't forget, tomorrow, we're going to be answering another 8 to 10 of your questions. So we just left off on November 17th. We'll be picking up then tomorrow. Today's show notes are over at stephencabral.com/1100. Take care. Hope you're having an amazing weekend. Are you ready to heal yourself and then go on to heal others? If so, the Integrative Health Practitioner Institute can help you discover proven functional medicine protocols that blend the best of 7 different healing disciplines from around the world. I personally share with you the exact handouts and protocols I use in my private practice that enable people to get well, lose the weight, and live longer, stronger. I want to pass this information on to the next generation of health coaches, and that is exactly why I created IHP. We are the future of the health coaching industry, and the skills and knowledge you will learn will make you an in-demand certified health coach anywhere in the world. Although we have many medical professionals taking the IHP certifications, no experience is necessary, and half our members have no previous health certifications. At the Integrative Health Practitioner Institute, our motto is a health coach in every home. Our goal is that you take this knowledge and then share it with family, friends, loved ones, your community, or in a practice where you create a career you love and can be proud of. The global IHP community is filled with some of the most kind and caring people in the world, and we can't wait to welcome you into our world soon. For more information or to set up a discovery call with one of our IHP Health Coach graduates, simply head over to integrativehealthpractitioner.org.